Let's talk about 931 injectors. So, when I first got this car and started cleaning up the fuel system on it, of course, one of the suspects of the clogging and bad fuel were the injectors. And I did buy, it appears, I have to check my records, I have one new injector. I think the other three actually spec'd out. I soaked them in Tecron and got them unclogged, and flow patterns look pretty good. So I don't know that I need to buy new injectors. Now, I remember leaving what I call the adapter on them when I was working with them, but now I couldn't have done that, because if I bought this replacement one, I would have had to pull them out. Oh, and I know I got new sealing rings for them, these little tiny rings. So I think I'm just going to clean them up some more. And when I looked at parts, this adapter was actually more expensive than the injector. I don't know if it's a one-of-the-kind thing or whatever, but yeah, these are like $70. So unless they got cracks or aren't sealing up proper, I don't see any reason why I can't use them again. Because if you look down in where the injector fits in, it's basically threaded with a flat surface, pretty flat. So that adapter would have to be severely compromised to not seal well, because it looks like it's hardened rubber, and you've got threads at the top, and then with the metal O-ring on the injector itself. So I'm going to save some cost here. You guys are probably going to think I'm crazy, but I think I'm going to try these. Just clean them up and see how it goes. So it actually looks like two are replacements. You can tell by the part number. The Bosch label is actually stamped into the metal here, whereas here it's just printed on, however they do that. So yeah, so two new and two original. So I may rethink that and go ahead and buy two more new ones, just so that it's a matching set. Or I can try them, see how they work. Decisions. One thing is for certain, you can definitely get the injector tighter into the adapter, and that's probably not the proper term, but I remember when I was messing with them 6 or 7 years ago or whatever, that I was having leaks on those sealing rings, and with it on the bench, you can use your two wrenches, 17 millimeter and 12 millimeter, to really tighten those down. Whereas if it's in the head, it'll have a tendency to just keep driving that adapter down into the threaded hole. So we'll see how that goes. So the number one cylinder, it's a little tight with this vapor connection on the head. I had to thread it in a ways, just using open end wrench. And then eventually I was able to get a long socket on it, 17 millimeter. These others shouldn't be as bad. Also, I did use a little bit of assembly lube because that clean rubber on the clean head, it kind of binds up, so needs a little help. So with the injectors in, the next thing I'm looking at is a snorkel. Now if I put it on, it's probably going to get in the way when I go to drop the engine in. So I know I'll be taking it back off, but I wanted to check the seals on it because the throttle body has a rubber O-ring, and I've replaced that. Actually had to order that because it was not part of the kit, the O-ring 931 kit, which is severely lacking in seals. And then there's another seal. There's actually two seals on that throttle body area. There's also this one. And when I picked it up, I'm looking at, well, that thing's compromised. It's got like gouges in it, whatever. But when I looked at the PET, this part is no longer available. Those are actually manufactured into that ring. And now that I look at it, it probably has to do with the TPS. Yes, because you look down there, the TPS mounting studs go right up the edge of that mating surface. And the TPS itself protrudes out. So that's what that's all about. That is specifically there to get that snorkel to fit right up against there. So I think at this point, this bad boy is going to go back on. Later on, I may put some sealant around the edges, but I think it behooves me to run with this for now. It's really weird that I bet you they figured that out after the fact. You think? So it looks like the best way to do this is put that black sealing ring on first to get those notches aligned, right? And then put on your rubber inner. It's like an inner and an outer, basically. And it looks like even with all that being done, it's not a great fit. It's just a design issue because it doesn't really go flush. You can see how much of the throttle body's protruding. And then when you go down here, it's not the same. So, anyway, I'm glad I did all this because I don't know that I realized that those cutouts in that sealing ring had to be orientated down there to get good fitment. Well, the rubber O-ring was completely wore out, so all that was loose anyway before, but hopefully this will tighten all that up. We're about to find out. Yeah, definitely a tighter seal. In fact, the Snorkel will kind of fight you with that new red O-ring. So what I did is basically in this mounting point here, I was pulling the Snorkel towards the throttle body and used a screwdriver to get that aligned with that bracket, right? Kind of held it in place, pulled the screwdriver, stuck the bolt in, and then you got to kind of struggle with it again to get these two long 6 millimeter started down into this part of the snorkel. It goes into the turbo, and get that gasket in place, which has a specific orientation. It's not symmetrical, so make sure you got it lined up properly before you start this whole process. But yeah, it's definitely tighter. Now this ring, this seal, doesn't really do a whole lot. So yeah, it's just kind of loose. So yeah, next time I have it off, I may put some sealer on there. I think bottom line, the red one is doing most of the sealing work. So you definitely want that to be in good shape. So as I'm tightening these up, it feels like it's getting in a bind, and also I'm not getting that great a seal. I mean, this could be a casting issue. The alignment there is not the greatest. I did loosen up on this mounting 8mm to kind of give it some wiggle. I think I need to get some gasket sealer in there. I think just the gasket alone is not going to do it. I mean, the mating surfaces aren't just lining up very well. So there's a lot going on from the top of the turbo to the output all the way up through here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 different seals. And if any of those surfaces are not perfectly cast, it's going to monkey it up. Going to get air leaks. So I'm not going to worry about putting gasket sealer on it yet, because I suspect I might have to take this back off at some point. But I do know right now it's not that great a seal. So I want to rectify that as best I can. It's always something. So I got this hose off the shelf, and I'm trying to figure out where it goes. And I notice it's got a connector that is the same as one on the Snorkel. So I looked it up, and sure enough, it connects to the Snorkel. Probably got to route it under here. It's got a bracket, which I will assume goes on that fitting, and that banjo end goes on the wastegate. So it's a vacuum hose for the wastegate, which I think I'm okay to go ahead and get it mounted. The more I work with this, the more I realize that this engine stand is not serving me very well, because I haven't been able to get my rear main seal on. I haven't been able to put my flywheel on, and a lot of stuff. And it would be really nice to go ahead and do the clutch, put the bell housing, and then drop the engine in the, because dealing with the clutch and the bell housing with the engine in is tough. So I'm going to review my video to see if I yanked it with the bell housing on, because I could potentially fabricate something for it to sit on, utilizing these two motor mount brackets. It'd have to have a cradle under the oil pan because it's front heavy. You know, it'd really help out just getting more stuff together, because I want this thing, when it goes in, I want it to be easy. Oh, and I realized after I got that Snorkel all buttoned up that I have yet to finish with my valve tower cover. I got to put gaskets in there. So yeah, that's coming back off. But I mean, right now it's more of an exercise of remembering where stuff goes, looking it up in the parts diagram, figuring it out. So I'll get this hose cleaned up, get it mounted. I got another one here I need to identify. So I think that's associated with the air oil separator, but which can't really be mounted because it is suspended on a bracket on the frame, which would definitely get in the way when I go to put the engine in. So I may come to a screeching halt on this one, but I can clean it up and get it ready. Okay, this is how I got it out. I'm gonna put it over there on that iron box with some blocks so I can put the flywheel and everything on it. Well, it looks pretty crazy, but it's pretty solid. I got all those blocks nailed together and nailed down to the surface. So, not gonna move. I put lag screws in the motor mount brackets so the engine can't scoot around. And then just a stack of blocks under the oil pan here. I think that's a pretty robust area there, right there. I mean, most of the weight is back on the motor mounts. So I think this will work. Next thing is to get this engine stand bracket off of here, and then I can go to work on the back of the engine. So it's progress. Thanks for watching, guys. See you again soon.